have no fear, Willie's here. Hello everyone! Happy New Year! If you're watching it recently, because today is the 6th of January 2018, but if you're watching this in 10 years time, and it's July, then it's not a Happy New Year. Anyway, these videos are going to be the dreaded link question. Whoa! Now, I've been a teacher for hundreds of years, as you can see, and it's very frustrating when a lot of kids don't even attempt the link question or get 1 mark at the most and just don't really have a Scooby-Doo what they're doing. So that's what this video is going to be all about, is going to be how to do a link question. Hooray! I hear you cry. Right, the link question is only worth 2 marks. That's why a lot of kids go, oh, I'm not going to bother learning about it, it's only 2 marks. Just think though, how gutted would you feel if you got the brown envelope in August with the exam results and it said 48. So 2 marks could have given you a pass, or 68%, and you could have got an A if you'd managed the link question. And that's what I'm going to be doing here now. Right, after marking this for years and years, I think I've worked out one big reason why kids don't do well at it. You're told to look at line 15, for example. Why is that an effective link, or what is the function of that sentence? If it's higher, it might not shout at you, this is the link question, but it might well be, especially if it's worth 2 marks. The link question is an understanding question, although you've got to quote for part of it, but we'll explain that later on. And the biggest thing that I think kids don't do is, because you're told to look at line 15, for example, you read from line 15 onwards. You've got to stop that. What you need to do is read line 15, or whatever the link question is, then read the paragraph before, because the function of a link is to connect, just like the word link means. It's to join one paragraph to another. And this is what happens if you take that link sentence away. The whole thing collapses. So the link sentence should be used to make the paragraph or the passage flow better. And that's why you should be trying to use them in your own folio pieces, especially for your persuasive or discursive essay, because that will make it flow really, really well. Anyway, so what I'm going to teach you is, the first step is to read the link sentence, then read the paragraph before it. Stop at that point and then try and do the link back the way. Now this video is going to teach you how to do that, don't worry, because it's too much when you're trying to read the link, the paragraph before, the paragraph that the link starts. It's just too much to read. So if you just take it 1 step at a time, that'll make it much, much easier. So my advice would be, stop and do the link backwards before you even attempt to do the link forwards, but we'll go into that in the video. It's just too much to get your head round. Another good piece of advice is that generally it'll be a word or a phrase from the first half of the sentence that will go back the way, and then a word or a phrase, usually a phrase, from the second half of the sentence that will go forwards, because it's physically closer. Not always, but it tends to be that way. Alright. So how did you link though, Mrs. Shakespeare? I hear you cry. And don't worry, have no fear, Willie's here. That's what I'm going to teach you now. Let's get on it like a bonnet. So there's 4 steps to answering a link question, and I'll just go through them now. So firstly, you have to quote a word or a phrase, usually it's a phrase which is 2 to 3, 4 words, from that link sentence, which the SQA will tell you which one it is, that has a connection to the previous paragraph, right, and the main idea in that. So what you've got to do is quote a word or phrase that links back the way, basically, and then, in your own words, explain how that quote connects to the main idea in that paragraph, the one that you've just read. So this is why it's an understanding question, because although you're quoting, which goes against what you're asked to do in these types of questions, it's the second bit. It's when you try and describe how that connects back and how it connects forward. That's when it's in your words, and that is why it's an understanding question. Alright, I hear you say. Once you've done the link back the way, obviously, just like the link in a chain, you have to tell me how does another bit from that sentence link forward. So yet again, just pretend there's a wee mirror there, it's the same step. So you have to quote a word or a phrase, again it's mostly a phrase, which connects to the next main idea, the paragraph that it's going on, that it's basically in the middle of, that it's going on to discuss. And then in your own words, again, explain how that quote connects to this new idea that's coming up. Alright, don't worry. Here's a wee example to show you how to do it and what I mean, what I'm talking about here. So this is a wee paragraph that I just made up about smoking. So smoking cigarettes, as everyone knows, is seriously damaging to your body. The tar contained in a cigarette sticks to skin, clothing and the insides of our lungs. The combination of nicotine and tar contribute to several serious diseases, all of which are associated with smoking. Diseases such as mouth, throat and lung cancers, chronic bronchitis, emphysema and heart disease are all linked to smoking. Okay, so this is the paragraph before the link sentence. This is just a wee example. So here's the link sentence. As well as the physical damage to our bodies, smoking cigarettes puts a serious financial burden on our health service. So, what quote in that link sentence connects back to that first paragraph and the first ideas? And obviously, the answer is physical damage to our bodies. So you might need to go back a wee bit in the video to see what I mean again. And if you did get the right answer, woohoo, well done! So here's a wee sample answer. Don't forget to use bullet points, as I've said in one of my other videos. If you haven't heard it, then please do. So this is an example of how you should write this answer down in the exam. So quote, physical damage to our bodies links back. Now you've got to tell the SQA what direction you're going in, right? So this is where you get the mark. You've got to get the direction right. So you would say links back, 1 mark if you're doing that 5, because the previous paragraph describes, and this is my own words, the variety of ways smoking can physically harm you. Now you would get another mark at that point if you're doing that 5, or if you're doing higher English, then this is where you would get your first mark, because as you know, one of the main differences between higher and nat 5 is that you don't get any marks for quoting at higher level. Right, so you would have hopefully have achieved 2 marks, but what I always say to my students is that don't just stop there. You might have got a bit of the quote wrong, the direction wrong, or you might not have summarised it well. So always do the link back and forward. It doesn't take you very, very long, I promise, once you get to know how. So just do the next one anyway, just to make sure that you're definitely guaranteed the 2 marks. And obviously if you're doing higher, you have to do both ways anyway, back and forward. Another tip is, as you know, I'm a big fan of the highlighter and pen, obviously. So take your highlighter or your pen, I would maybe suggest pen, and score out the words that you've already used from the link. So you'd make it easier for yourself. You're just left with half a sentence as opposed to a whole sentence. So then you can see, oh, what have I got to do? And that's exactly what I've done here. So I've scored out, as well as the physical damage to our bodies, and I'm left with, smoking cigarettes puts a serious financial burden on our health service. So I'm left with a wee half. From the bit that's left, can you guess what the main idea is in the next paragraph? Leaving a dramatic pause for you to try and work it out. Were you right? Yep. So, serious financial burden is what I'm now going to go on to talk about next in the paragraph. So if we see that example again, here's the link. As well as the physical damage to our bodies, which is what it was discussing there with all the diseases that smoking can cause, So you would score that out because you've done that. Smoking cigarettes puts a serious financial burden on the health service. So obviously the finance is what it's now going to talk about. Here's the example. According to the charity ASH, treating diseases caused by smoking costs the NHS in England approximately £2 billion a year. This cost includes hospital admissions, prescriptions if you have a smoking-related disease, GP consultations and operations or treatment associated with your illness. This means that smoking is putting huge financial pressure onto our health service. So just imagine that this is in the close reading passage. So the paragraph before was talking about the physical health, and now it's talking about the financial or economic burden that it causes that it causes the NHS. So here's a wee sample answer linking forwards. So quote, serious financial burden, links forward, you would get a mark there because at that 5, because the paragraph goes on to describe, and this is when I'm putting it in my own words, summing it up yourself, the massive economic implications which smoking has on the health service and how much it costs to treat smoking related diseases. Alright, so you would get another mark there if you're doing that 5, or there is where you would get the mark for higher. So this is why it's an understanding question. You're summarising what the main gist was, what's the main idea in that particular paragraph. So hopefully you've found it a bit clearer and you've got an idea now on what to do for a link question, and you won't have to miss it out now, will you? Don't worry, we're going to do 2 or 3 more for practice, and when I tell you to pause, that's where you need to pause so you can get a chance to do them yourself. Alright, so here comes the first question. Good luck! So here's the first question for practice. Following the Roman invasion in 43 AD, the south of Britain was totally subdued within 30 years. Many Britons were sold as slaves and the land was covered with Roman roads and towns. Soon, South Britain was to be a complete Roman province, the townsmen speaking Latin and building for themselves those comfortable Roman houses with central heating. A Roman temple to the god Mithras has been excavated in the heart of London. And here's the link. But, and now there's obviously another clue. If there's a word like but or however, that suggests that there's a change in ideas, there's a new direction. You would get a mark for talking about that at National 5 level. So if you're still unsure after this, you know how to do it, at least talk about any sort of linking words or phrases and what that might suggest, and you would get a mark for that at Nat 5. Anyway, but unlike their easy victory in the south, the north of the country resisted the foreign invaders. Alright, so at this point, if you want to have a wee shot of it, pause the video and try to do the link back. So can you see any phrase, like any words or a phrase which is 2 or 3, 4 words at the most? Okay, let's see if you were right then. Here's a sample answer, obviously yours might be a bit different. So easy victory, that's really the 2 key words you could have in the south, that doesn't matter. Links back, 1 mark there at Nat 5, because the previous paragraph describes something like this: how quickly the Romans overcame and took over the south of the country. Alright, and yet again you would get a mark there at Nat 5, so you could pick up 2 marks there potentially, or 1 mark at higher level. Well done if you got it right. And let's have a wee look at how to do it going forwards. So like I said already, score it out. What are you left with? The north of the country resisted the foreign invaders. Here, so this is what the paragraph's gone on to describe. Here the Romans were never able to do more than hold down the natives for short periods. There were no Roman towns, no country houses, no temples, only forts and camps where soldiers lived for a time. Alright, so have a look at what you're left with in that underlined link sentence. See if you can pick out what quote links forward to the next paragraph, and use your own words to summarise it. Alright, again, pause the video while you do that. And here's a sample answer. North of the country resisted, there's the key word there. Links forward, 1 mark, because the paragraph goes on to describe, this is your own words, how the north didn't let the Romans take over. They were only there for a brief period of time.
and you would get a mark again there at Nat 5 or your first mark at higher level. Obviously your answer might be a little bit different from that, but it's just to give you an idea. Alright, another practice one for you. At school, Alistair had shown exceptional promise. He had excelled as a scholar, as a musician, and on the games field. His popularity and talent had made him an obvious choice for head boy in his last year. Alistair sounds like a great pupil to have in your school. You would love him. Some of the kids might not take too fondly because he's so good at everything, he's one of these all-rounders. Anyway, I'll stop waffling on. So there's the first bit of information we've been told about Alistair. So here is the link sentence. Let's see if we can pick out what sums up what that first paragraph was about. Link. His university career made a sad contrast to the years as a golden boy. Alright, so see if you can pick out a phrase from the underlined sentence, the link sentence, that sums up what that first paragraph described. Did you get that? It's a wee bit tricky, that one. So that went against what I said to you. Most of the first half of the link sentences will go back. In this case, it was the latter half of the sentence. So, years as a golden boy links back. 1 mark there, Nat 5, because the previous paragraph describes how well Alistair did during his school career and the various ways he was successful. And again, another mark there at Nat 5, or your first mark at higher. So well done if you spotted that little red herring to throw you. So it was the second half of the sentence. Let's do the link forwards now. So we've scored out years as a golden boy. What are we left with? His university career made a sad contrast. And then it goes on to say, a baffling lack of commitment saw him fail his first year exams, and after a nervous breakdown early in his second year, he dropped out altogether. Oh, he didn't do very well, bless him, did he? So now, try and get a word or a phrase that sums up what that goes on to discuss. Okay, the answer then was sad contrast, which links forward because the paragraph goes on to describe the various problems he had when he went to university and how he ended up giving it all up. And there's obviously the marks again, which you can allocate yourself depending on what level you're doing. Hope you're doing well at these, and if not, just keep having a wee go at them. Practice makes perfect and all that. So your last practice question. My mother was born near Gloucester in the early 1880s. Through her father, John Light, she had some mysterious connection with the castle, half forgotten, but implying a blood link somewhere. Indeed, it was said that an ancestor led the murder of Edward II. Ooh. Here's the link. But whatever the illicit grandeurs of her forebears, mother was born to quite ordinary poverty. Alright, so can you spot what phrase links back to that first paragraph and try to put it in your own words? Good luck! And here's a sample answer. Illicit grandeurs, you don't need the of her forebears, but there's nothing wrong with having that, links back because the previous paragraph describes how the mother's family history has a link to royalty, or something similar. So well done if you got that. How does it link forwards? So we've scored that out. It obviously isn't going to be the but whatever, so it's after that. Mother was born to quite ordinary poverty. When she was about 13 years old, her mother was taken ill, so she had to leave school for good. She had her 5 young brothers and her father to look after, and there was no one else to help. Oh, bless her wee cotton socks. So again, I'll just pause here while you can pause, not me. You pause the video while you try to get the answer for how it goes forwards. Sample answer. Quite ordinary poverty links forward because the paragraph goes on to describe how circumstances in her life caused her to surrender her education as she had to support her parents and numerous siblings. Or there is something thereabouts.
Right, so hopefully you're now going to be celebrating good times. Come on! Because you can do link questions and you won't be missing out that 2 marks now. Will ya? If you do, I'll tell you no more. Like I said in my rap. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Alright, so Good luck with the rest of the links. Hopefully you'll know what to do now. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. I will love it if you do. Alright, ta-ta for now. Have no fear, Willie.